discussion?
Thank you. I would maybe correct the record. There is one perk. You do get an extra $500 if you are the president of council. So there is that. And I was unsure if I was going to run, but that $500 is going to buy a lot of diapers. So I think I was unsure. So I took some time over this kind of Christmas break to reach out, call, and speak to every member of council. I've also talked to some other people that I hold their opinion in well regard about what their thoughts were on me serving. It's kind of been the precedent that the president of council serves for 2 terms and then essentially would be term limited out. Mr. Reynolds did that as he served for four terms and was term limited out of serving again. At that point, I had been the vice president of council for 2 years and had been on council for 4 years. And I would say that the vice president position did not prepare me at all for taking over and running the meeting, as really your only role as vice president is to run a meeting if the president is not there that evening. In my time as vice president, I think I did run one committee of the whole meeting when Mr. Reynolds was unable to attend. And in my 2 years as president, I did miss one council meeting for the birth of my second set of kids when I was in the hospital. So there hasn't been a large circumstance where the vice president has stepped up, but I would kind of look at the committee roles as a committee chair and how those meetings are run very similarly to what the roles are as the president of council. However, there's a lot more pressure with running a city council meeting versus a committee meeting, as those meetings tend to be a lot more relaxed and a little more free-flowing, if you will. So I did reach out to members of council, and I did speak to everyone about their views, including talk to Ms. Negron as well about her desire to continue or to step up and serve as president. And during my conversations with everybody in council, I didn't receive any negative feedback about my style or my management of running the meetings, which I took to heart, and I took that advice to mean that I was doing a fine job running the meetings. And I think if I were to continue as president of council, I would have a very similar approach to the way I ran the meetings in the past 2 years. I will stand by my record of service in the way that I've run meetings. I have been criticized a bit of allowing people to speak too much, but that's a criticism I will take, whether that's members of council or it's members of the public. I do have what is called a soft gavel, and I think in my opportunity to limit speech, I have chosen repeatedly not to do that. I don't think limiting ideas that you are not in agreement with or are unpopular is not the way to a healthy dialogue. I think you combat unpopular ideas with better ideas. And that has been my approach to running and facilitating these meetings. And I would bring that to the table if I was elected to serve a second term to continue as council president. One of the legacies that I think I'm most proud of and that I'll stand behind and that I'll leave is the addition of the live streaming, and in an effort to be more transparent and allow more access to people and allow a better audio and visual record that's easy to look at and access. That was one of the things that I championed in my time as president, and I think that has been a very successful use of technology. And I think that allows for more conversation, which I think is always a good thing. Whether you agree with those ideas or not, I think knowing what someone else thinks and having the ability to understand and allow them to articulate is a positive thing. Whether you like those ideas or you think they're terrible, I think everyone should have an opportunity to be heard. I have asked members of council publicly and privately if they did have any feedback for me in my management of the meetings. And I have received a little bit of feedback, but nothing to the point where anybody felt that I should take a much different approach to the way I manage, and I try to keep order in the room. It is an imperfect science, and it is a difficult balancing act from moment to moment, but I am willing to continue those conversations with members of council if I am elected again to serve as president, to see how we can allow for an even more productive dialogue that would make people feel as included as possible, open up City Hall to as many residents as we can get here, and to hear their input as well. So if council's will is for me to serve another term, I would be happy to do so. And I would also like to add that it has been a pleasure to serve as president of council, even though sometimes it is a very challenging and difficult position. I did enjoy my time, and I think my ability to be patient and understanding is one of my strengths. I would also add that, as I said, 90% of this is running the meeting. The other 10% is probably the communication with members of council as well as the clerk's office. As I referenced earlier today, I got a phone call from Mr. Bedoni in mid-morning to add something to the agenda that was time sensitive. Since I have the ability to be self-employed, I often am able to take phone calls and check emails and text messages during the day that are time sensitive. I know other members of council in the past, that has been a challenge, waiting to the end of the workday to catch up on some of those issues. So I think that also uniquely qualifies me to serve in this role. Thank you.